It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Nielsen and Gazzola with you, and we will have time to get to a few more of your questions a little bit later on. Obviously, it's a game day, a busy day here as the Oilers take on the Detroit Red Wings. As always, The Oil Stream brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Nothing says first game at home in forever like sitting back on the couch and getting yourself some Popeye's chicken sandwiches for the entire family. Don't just get it for yourself. Get it for the family, right, Tommy? Popeye's is a family meal.
It is absolutely a family meal. Get those nugs, get the blackened ranch, get the mac and cheese, do what you need to do. But those things, all delicious, nutritious, maybe not so much, but part of this balanced breakfast.
You know what? They should be open for breakfast. Give me a chicken muffin sandwich. Like I'm ready for that. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time till that happens.
How hard is it to do that? It's not hard. That's the answer.
Can't be that hard, I wouldn't think, especially when you got 20 locations locally. I mean, you got to be able to pull that off for sure. I'm going to give you an Oil Stream slick pick a little bit later on here for our partners at Cool Ben. Obviously, we'll get to your Boston Pizza Appetizer. But it is game day. Oilers and the Wings tonight. Tommy, you were down at the rink. I think Gregor's lurking around your apartment right now. He tweeted out Jack Campbell is going to start, and Yamamoto is not good to go. What else from the rink today? What else is going on?
Yeah, Greg's over there. He's working at the desk. He's working at the desk at the satellite studios. And so Yamamoto, Yamamoto is ready to play, but you have to wait for the move that the Oilers are going to have to make to get him back in the lineup. Obviously that got kicked down the road a little bit because of Draisaitl and Kane not practicing yesterday. It sounds like those guys are good to go for tonight. Draisaitl was on the ice today. I was told he was under the weather. I know a lot of people speculating that he's hurt. I'm not denying that he's probably dealing with bumps and bruises, but a lot of guys are. If he was hurt, why would he go on vacation? Why would he go to the All-Star game?
Yeah.
You go get treatment if you're hurt, and you focus on what's important. There's
a difference between being banged up and hurt, right?
And Dusty, and this is a crazy concept, but even some of the best players in the world have bad stretches. It happens.
Unless you're Connor McDavid.
Well, I mean, he's on a different plane than everyone else.
He's kind of special. I mean, his bad stretch was having 7 shots on goal and being -3 against the Habs. Odds are he gets back on track tonight. So, all right. So Kane, Draisaitl, everybody should be fine, good to go, right?
Kane was a little bit dinged up, and he has been for a couple of games, but it's not going to stop him from playing. So, but that's where we're at in regard to the lineup.
All right, let's dive into your Boston Pizza Appetizer. A bunch of stuff to get to here. Of course, Boston Pizza, if you're looking for a place to watch the Oilers game tonight, swing by your local Boston Pizza Lounge. In fact, you don't even have to go to the lounge. If you want to just go have dinner with your family on the other side, they'll have the Oilers game plastered all over every TV at Boston Pizza tonight. And, of course, if you want to hit up Happy Hour daily from 2 to 5 and then again from 9 until close, we will be at the Capilano Boston Pizza on February 28th. So you can join us for that. That's Tuesday. Is that the Tuesday? Is it the 28th or the 26th? What's the Tuesday? Pretty sure it's the 28th. Yeah, it's the 28th. Yeah. Final day of February. Final day of the month. You can join us there on Tuesday as we creep towards the trade deadline. Now, obviously, transaction discussion, a big part of everything going on right now. You mentioned Yamamoto. He's ready to go. They got to find a way to get that salary back off the LTIR and onto the roster. And this is going to be Jesse Puljujärvi, we assume. What's the process like? When is this actually going to happen, Tommy? Because this market has been talking about it for 6 days.
Yeah, and that's before the road trip. I thought it was imminent, and I was told just wait till the road trip's over. Anything could happen. Guys get banged up. Sure enough, Fogle ends up missing a game because he blocks a shot in Philly. Kostin ends up getting banged up in Ottawa and missed the game. I was told that it's a wrist issue for Kostin. He was on the ice again today. I think he'll be good to go. He practiced yesterday. And then we saw Kane and Draisaitl not take part in practice yesterday as well. So that was exactly what they were waiting for. They didn't make a move just in case guys got banged up, and they did. So, they moved it down the line. So it should be coming soon. Yes, it's probably Jesse Puljujärvi. I've heard that there's interest in him regarding a trade still. And, I know people within the organization feel like a trade could happen, and there's a likelihood to it. But they might still waive him, and then once he clears, that could, I was told, make it more enticing for other teams, because that way he can go up and down between the minors.
Once he clears, he can go up and down for like a month. Is that not essentially what it is? I think it's a month or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, where it makes it easier, because you can go up and down. You don't have to worry about losing an asset, and that's what could kick the.
So you're thinking that is possibly the likeliest of scenarios right now, placed on waivers. Chance he could be claimed. If he's not claimed, makes a trade easier, and there is some interest there for a deal to get done.
Yeah, that was the scenarios that were presented to me. And
all right, so one way or the other, there appears to be a path to get that $3 million off the books.
Yes.
Is that what it is? All right.
That sounds like the way it's going.
Any thoughts on a team that might be interested?
We're talking about it.
We haven't really heard a lot, right?
We were talking about it in the media lounge today. Like maybe Carolina circles back. Holland's got a good relationship with Bill Armstrong in Arizona. That could maybe come into effect. And then there might be a couple other teams that might be interested in him and willing to take him on, that are lurking and just being really quiet just to wait to see if that opportunity presents itself. But yeah, those are the two that I heard, was maybe Arizona, maybe Carolina would be interested.
Carolina is an interesting one because you could go there and be with Teravainen and Aho and Kakiniemi, like a little Finnish mafia they have there. Might be an easy place for him to fit in. And to be honest with you, if you're Jesse Puljujärvi and your landing spots the Carolina Hurricanes, who are analytically driven, and that's something that you've usually been pretty good at, that's a pretty soft landing if you're Puljujärvi, right? Like
exactly.
So
fresh start. Go do your thing. Some of the guys that probably would end up, if it happens, being a nice scenario for him.
If it does end up happening. All right, Tommy, let's dive into this. Let's see here on the live chat right now. Billy Dub just said, Chris Johnson said on Low Tide show, and Low Tide wasn't on today, so this would have been Jameson. Karlsson cost is a first and prospects. Just an update there from Chris Johnson. This Karlsson Madness. And that's how I've described it over the last 4 or 5 days here, Tommy. Like, this shit's gotten carried away, in my opinion. Like, it's so near financially impossible that everything that we view, I love having the discussion. We're going to beat the hell out of it on our show and on our station, obviously, and on this podcast and all the other podcasts in the city and Oilers Nation website. Like, that's what happens. That's what we do. But it is madness, isn't it?
Man, I said it on Low Tide and Jameson today as well. I was also on that program. That it's not impossible, but it's highly improbable. Yes, you could work the cap gymnastics, move guys around, and you could find a way to make it happen. A lot of things need to fall into place for this scenario to play out. Like, the price would have to come down from the San Jose Sharks. Erik Karlsson would have to agree to coming to Edmonton. And obviously you'd need to figure out how to make the cap work and to make sure you could still ice a full roster of players as well, because it would be a costly endeavor. So this is what we do in the media, and the fans get, stirred up. And listen, I've been told that the lines of communication are open. All right. Like, Ken Holland always talks to these guys, and he's always listening, and, he's not saying no to anything, but like, it's been laid out so many times in the last few days, like how hard this would be to make happen. It's easy to get excited for, but I still think it's highly unlikely. And I'll just add this. I'll add this too. The other thing I was told was there's nothing in the hopper right now, outside of this waiver move that the Oilers are going to have.
Like, outside of just getting this waiver stuff taken care of with Jesse Puljujärvi, there's nothing in the hopper. So if you're sitting here waiting for a Karlsson trade in the next 2 or 3 days, Tommy, that shit ain't coming.
Doesn't sound like it.
No,
and I pressed about that. I'm like, come on, don't bullshit me. And they're like, no, it's a lot of noise outside right now.
Okay, I want to just, like, for San Jose for a second, because there's been a lot of talk. I've had people text in saying, Dusty, what if they keep $5 million for the next 4 years and he comes in and it's at $6 million? And I get all this, okay? But the Sharks just did this with Brent Burns. Like, they just did this. And the asking price for me, the one that popped up, and if Chris Johnson says it's now a first and prospects, whatever, like it was, I had a nice little phone call with a huge Oil Stream fan, Bob Stoffer, yesterday. We were talking about this and a bunch of other things because you know how a call goes with stuff, right? So huge Oil Stream fan. Always was like, can I come on? Can I come on? Like,
yeah, of course. The answer is no.
Yeah. Well, but he was speaking in hypotheticals on his show earlier in the week about Bouchard and a first and Bourgault and all like just this, everything in the world. And for me, in September, Karlsson, in my opinion, was deemed as a contract that you could not move for an injury-prone guy for the last 4 or 5 years. So for now, this price to seem to be that exorbitant, I know he's having a phenomenal season, but it doesn't correlate properly for me. And then I look at what happened with Brent Burns. Now, Brent Burns is not at the level of the season that Karlsson is having this year. But in order to move Burns, who did have 54 points in 82 games last year for the San Jose Sharks, it was a pretty good season offensively. And he's got 38 points in 53 games this year in Carolina and seems to be a really good fit there. In order to move him last year, Brent Burns was traded with Lane Peterson from San Jose to Carolina for Eetu Makiniemi, Steven Lorentz, and a conditional third-round pick. And with what they got there, they still kept $2.7 million of that just to move this player. Like that package is nothing. Like that package is nothing to move Brent Burns. And now you're going to get 3 first-round caliber pieces for Karlsson and all this. Like I don't buy it. And I also think the Oilers are almost negotiating against themselves. Like there can't be many other teams who are in the mix for Erik Karlsson because we haven't heard about him.
Hey, that's to say if they're even negotiating anything.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing. Like what are they even negotiating anything right now? Again, it doesn't sound like it.
So there's no trade for Karlsson. That's it. Are you telling me I've wasted all 3 shows this week? My God, man.
Because I guarantee you, people texted in like crazy. I guarantee you that people are looking at me right now going, Tom, you are full of shit right now. They're going to make this happen because they're so enticed by it. And again, I'm saying, is it impossible? No. Is it unlikely? Highly unlikely? Yes. Can things change? Yes. The lines of communication are open. Ken Holland talks to these guys daily. And, this all stemmed from a conversation that was had between superstar players at the All-Star game, right? And Oilers, McDavid and Draisaitl going back to Ken Holland being like, hey, we had a good talk with Karlsson.
Puck mover, yeah.
Maybe you can make a call. And he made a call. So I'm not saying it's impossible or improbable. I'm not saying it's impossible, but improbable.
This text comes in, or this tweet from McMagic788. Tom, you're full of shit. Just like you just said, right? So that's funny that people are watching like that.
That's how Oiler fans are. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to rain on the parade. I'd love to see a crazy move like that. It's just, it doesn't make sense instinctually. If you do try to turn it into a reality, like it's so hard to bend and make work, but it's not impossible. And at the same time, like at the end of the day, is Erik Karlsson what you need on this team?
Not really.
It'd be an amazing piece.
It's like a great luxury to have, right? Like that's how I would view it. Like it would be amazing.
I don't need a Porsche. I have a very nice car, but I would take a Porsche, right? Like no problem, absolutely. That's
like I would take a Porsche, but my family probably needs a pickup truck so I can haul stuff. Like that would be a more reasonable way to look at this. The live chat is. Came out says, "Don't do this to us, Tommy." Well, I mean that's just look. It's reality. It's just reality.
I'm telling people what I'm being told. I'm passing along what I'm being told. Okay, and I am like, I ask, I'm like, are you guys just doing smoke screens? Like, don't screw around with me. These are people I've known for a long time, and they're like, no, like, here's where we're at. and I'm just passing it along. Okay. Like you asked, I'm telling you what I was told.
I said it on my show this morning. I'm going to reiterate it right here. I think the Oilers can win the Stanley Cup without Erik Karlsson.
Sure.
I think if you want to, if there's a different defenseman that can help you limit scoring chances against, this is what needs to happen. Their forward group, Stanley Cup caliber forward group, one of the best in the league. Even if you put the whole group together, I still like the group. You might want to look at weaknesses here and there. I think it's a really good group. If they are going to win the Stanley Cup, which McDavid and Draisaitl could always just go bloody supernova again and do it, right. They need to stabilize their defense. And if that's with a trade, some sort of trade, then so be it. And either way, their goaltenders are going to have to be excellent. That's what happens. No matter who the goalie is, whether it's a big name or not, with Jack Campbell, Stu Skinner, what we've seen in the past, you need a goaltender to be excellent in the postseason. If they do that, they can probably get further than they got last year without Erik Karlsson. So I don't view it as if they don't get Erik Karlsson, they don't have a shot to win a Stanley Cup this year, which is why I've never really kind of been fully on board with it. Because I said this might come across very homerish, but I think they're very close to being a Stanley Cup contender right now without sacrificing 4 pieces of the future for a defenseman who's just going to make them score more goals. Somebody pointed out today, great point on the show today in the inbox. Hey, Dusty, because lots of people are like, Dusty, just outscore. You can outscore your way to the cup. And somebody said, Dusty. Yeah, that was the thing today. Somebody said, Dusty, if outscoring the other team is so great, how are the Oilers the highest scoring team in the league and 4th in the Pacific right now? Which is a pretty valid point, I think. So we're in one now. Like, this whole city is in one now. No matter who they acquire, it's going to be a major disappointment because this Karlsson has been out there.
I know. And honestly, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, people were so certain that Chychrun was coming here.
Yeah.
I don't see those texts and tweets anymore because all of a sudden this Karlsson talk is just ramped up. And
which is why I described it as madness. It's madness.
It is madness.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun, but it's madness.
It's madness.
Yeah.
No, this is good. All right, let's get to a couple of questions that came in on Twitter a little bit earlier. Hey, guys, I'm one of the many fans that would want to see the Oilers land Karlsson, but if they don't get him, do the Oilers really need to go after guys like Gavrikov and Edmondson? Vinny D has stepped up pretty good with his skill set, something that they need. What say you? It's from Steve on Twitter.
Yeah, I would say, Steve, they will likely still target guys that are more defensively oriented, that are left shot blue liners. And it might not necessarily just be Gavrikov and Edmondson. There might be some other names that are popping loose with teams that are falling out of the playoff picture quickly here. So
a lot can change in 2 weeks, right? 2.5 weeks.
There's some veteran guys out there that are on bad teams that might be movable. Like, even look at today. Is Oli Mata, like Ben Sherratt, guys like that. I'm not saying it's them. I'm just saying that there are other options out there. And there might be some guys that they're looking at that we haven't even discussed.
Guys, if this is from Darn Frickcheck on Twitter, if LA trades for Chychrun, do you think that would force Holland's hand to do something big, seeing as they will most likely face them in the playoffs?
To do something big is subjective, but not big, but do the right thing, I think, is a good way to describe it. And that would be to shore up the left side of the blue line. I still think that that's the number one priority from my interpretation. But does it change his perspective to make a huge impact trade? I don't think he sees it that way. Just listening to him and kind of getting an understanding of how he does business, I don't think he's feeling forced into doing anything.
How much of a fan? This was a question that came in. Yeah, here it is. This is from Seamus O'Reilly. Would it be a failure if Ken Holland stands pat at the deadline?
Probably.
It wouldn't go over very well. We can say that at least, right, Tommy?
No, unless somehow Evan Bouchard gets better in his own zone and Philip Broberg only gets better as a young defenseman and they keep this 11-7 thing and Vincent Desharnais becomes a pivotal shutdown type who can give you some solid minutes on the PK. Like, a lot of guys would have to really rise up. But I think, And for the psyche, I think I've learned in my time being with a team, around a team, is like when the GM makes a move to quote unquote bolster the lineup heading into the deadline or at the deadline, it gives the team a shot in the arm because they know that they have the support from the brass. And it's like, all right, we're getting reinforcements. Let's go. This makes our team better. Like there's a mental component to it as well.
Would you say it was that way and you're working for the team when they brought in Jared Smithson at the deadline?
I can tell you when they brought in Jared Smithson that the players on the teams, like they ridiculed that move. They laughed at it. They're like, that's what you did.
That's it. That's the move.
There was a dozen games left. They had just destroyed Calgary. I think it was 8-1 at the Saddle Dome to move into 8th place or into a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And there was a dozen games left, and they went and they got Jared Smithson. And I remember Horkoff was the captain at the time, and the leadership group, let's call it, were like, that's it? That's all you got? And sure enough, I think they won one of their last.
They fell apart after
games.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just awful.
All right, let's get to your Oil Stream Slick Pick. Oilers in action tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. If you want to bet that game, you can do it over at coolbet.com. Stay cool, bet responsibly, and going out on a little bit of a limb here for the Oil Stream Slick Pick tonight, but it's going to be a plus 163 bet. And for every other player in the league, like for example, let me just bring up the Oilers here. Over 2.5 points for Zach Hyman is plus 430. Over 2.5 points for Leon Draisaitl is plus 255. Over 2.5 points for Connor McDavid is plus 163, which is what it's like for most guys to get 1 point. But Connor McDavid tonight is 3 points away from 100. He's coming off the first game. He's been held pointless since the year 2022. And going up against the Detroit team that, the Oilers didn't even play well last week, scored 5 goals on these guys. So if you want to play it safe, you can go McDavid over 1.5 points, but that's a minus number. If you think McDavid can push from 97 to 100 points tonight, you can get over 2.5 points at plus 163. And just for fun today, that will be my Oil Stream Slick Pick. Tommy, you think he does it tonight?
Yeah, especially after the games after he gets held pointless, he's usually really good.
Yeah.
And I think to a man, each guy on the team will tell you they didn't play particularly well on that entire trip. And the Wings, too, for whatever reason, seem to fire the Oilers up like they did last week. So I think we're in for a sneaky good game tonight, and we could see him hit the century mark, and we could see Draisaitl wake up, and Hyman's been a buzzsaw as he usually is. So there's some real opportunity to make some money on some picks there.
All right, there we go. That's your Oil Stream Slick Pick. Connor McDavid and the push towards 100 points tonight at home against the Detroit Red Wings. He sits at 97 right now. Over 2.5 points will sit at and pay plus 163 is where that number's at right now. If the Oil Streamers move the line, you might not be able to get it at such a good number. So plus 163 is where you can get it at right now. Tommy, pregame show tonight. What time do you get rolling, buddy?
Hey, we're on at 6 till 7:30 because it's a 7:30 puck drop. We're at the Canadian Ice House. Come by, say hello. Can't miss us. Matty Cassian is going to be on location for the first time.
Nice.
Excellent. Yep. And you know what? I might even buy you a beer if you come by. Say hi. And we also
nice.
have a $50 GC, but you can only get it if you're in the house for pre and post game. All
right. So there you go. Pre and post tonight. Go see Tommy there. And, of course, you can listen on TSN 1260. Gazzola, we will talk to you later in the week, buddy.
All right. Sounds good, Dusty. Do you want me to say it?